Hi everyone, this is Brad from Board Game Geek. I'm here with Emerson of Nazca Games, and we're going to take a look at Volt Robot Battle Arena. Emerson, can you give us a quick rundown on how the game is played?
Sure. Do I hold the mic?
It's okay.
Okay. Robot Battle Arena is Volt Robot Battle Arena is a robot combat game. It was inspired by those old TV shows like Robot Wars or BattleBots, and this is kind of an imagining of what would it be like if those shows became extremely popular, and then fast forward 50 years later, what kind of a sport would it have become? So it's kind of reminiscent of the movie Real Steel. So I was a big fan of those type of movies. So in this game, each player takes control of a robot, and each player is also going to have their own player board. The objective of the game is to get 5 victory points, and there are 2 ways of getting victory points. The first is, at the start, you roll this dice, and this determines which spot on the board is going to be worth the victory point if you're the last person on the spot. So it has a bit of a King of the Hill mechanic there. All right. The other way of getting victory points is to destroy your opponents. There's a couple ways of doing that. One is that you could push opponents into pits, so you can see on the board there are several different areas where there are pits. And the other way you can destroy your opponents is with your weapons. So let me focus on the player board here. The player board has 2 sections. You have the movement controls and you have your firing controls here. The way this works, the board and the controls are all relative. So for instance, let's say if you were the green robot and you wanted to move to, say, this spot here, which is worth a victory point if you're on this spot at the end of the round, you have each player is armed with 3 dice. And you have complete control. So these dice are not rolled. Instead, you actually place the dice on the board. So this would mean that you're moving forward 6 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And let's say you wanted to move 2 spaces over. You would use this dice, place it in this direction. So you can see it's all relative to the placement of this board, not the orientation of the robot itself. And let's say, for instance, you wanted to fire in this direction. Okay. Now this is all happening behind your player screen.
Okay.
So once everyone has placed all their dice, they'll be revealing simultaneously. So let's say that I'm the white robot, and let's say I wanted to move to the same spot on the board. So I would want to move 2 spaces forward. Let's say I want to move 1 space to my left, and let's say that I'm going to fire in this direction. So once everyone is done placing their dice, everyone reveals, and then the dice are resolved in this order. So all the red dice will resolve, then the white dice, then blue dice, starting with the lowest numbered dice. So in this particular case, we'll run through this scenario right here. The red player, or the white robot has a 2 on his red dice, so he would move first. He'll move 2 spaces forward. This will get removed. And then the green robot's going to move 6 spaces. And I've just taken the dice off just to show that it's resolved. All right, next we resolve the white dice. The white player has a white 1, so he'll be moving first onto the control point. So the white player is happy. Little does he know that the green player is then going to move 2 spaces, pushing him off the control point. Okay. And then finally resolve the blue dice. The green player is actually firing in the direction of the white robot, so the white robot is going to receive 1 point of damage. And because it's a successful shot, the number on the dice doesn't represent the range, but what it represents is the targeting as well as the strength of the shot. So with using a value of a 2 or a 3, it means that you're actually firing at the torso and specifically the firing arms. So what happens is that the white robot is no longer aiming in the direction he thought he was. He got shot in this part of the robot, so now he's actually turned, and now he's forced to move his dice 45 degrees clockwise. So this chart shows you what actually happens when you get shot. If you used a value of a 4 or 5, that's actually hitting the legs of the robot, and you can actually alter your opponent's movements. So you can really mess up your opponents. And then finally, the 6 is a power shot. So it's the strongest shot. It hits dead center. And I'm just going to use this as an example. Let's say if the green robot were to fire in this direction, he would deal 1 point of damage, but it pushes the robot 1 space away. So in this particular case, you could actually shoot other robots into pits. And when you do that, you earn a victory point. Okay. So we covered the first 2 phases of the round. The third phase is you check to see who's on the control point. So the green player is on the control point because it matches that number. So the green player will earn 1 victory point. And then when that happens, we re-roll the dice, and now it's the number 6 that the robots will be battling over. At the end, if any robots were destroyed, they would respawn back on the board anywhere along the edge. And play continues until one player gets to 5 victory points.
Very cool. Thank you so much. So the game was on Kickstarter, now is in print. Where can players pick it up if they're interested in the game?
At any other friendly local game stores. It's available on Amazon, from online retailers, so it's available worldwide at the moment.
Awesome.
Advanced variant.
Okay, sure.
What I described was the basic game. The advanced variant actually has these modules, and some of these modules will change up the gameplay, and they basically act as upgrades to your robot. So I'll just cover just a couple of them. This one's the saw blades, which whenever you push a robot, you'll deal 1 point of damage as you're pushing them. This one is the proximity mines. So each time that a robot moves, it leaves a mine of their color behind on the board. And if an opponent runs over the mines, it'll destroy the robot and you will earn a victory point that way. But you have to be careful. You can run over your own mines to blow yourself up. This one's my favorite one. This one is called the portal gun. So each time that it hits an opponent, instead of dealing damage, you're actually going to swap places with them on the board. So those are some of the ones. There's 16 total. And in the rulebook, there's several different variants. Up on BGG, there's also additional game modes that are available. So that's the game. That's Vault Robot Battle Arena.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Brad.